number one way to prevent you from getting attacked is to implement what they call multi-factor authentication. A second layer, so rather than just a username and a password, the third layer is a code sent to your phone in a text, or in an app, or in an email. However they deliver it, the second step of authentication prevents 99% of account breaches.
Yes.
99%.
I always love computers, but sometimes you got problem with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I got here Andy Price from Initial IT. Basically, what exactly your company is doing?
So Initial IT is what we call a managed service provider. So that's what we call it in the field. So we basically help business owners get more out of their tech. So it's about optimizing, keeping them safe, giving them advice around how to do certain things with technology. I believe that every business should be using technology for three things. And that's to use technology to grow, to use technology to save cost, and to use technology to build a solid foundation. And that incorporates things like cybersecurity and backups and all those things.
Yeah, because if you are not trained basically on cybersecurity, you can lose money.
Absolutely.
Or be fined.
And reputation, money, loss of business, it's enormous. And I think there's a misconception around cybersecurity where everyone thinks it sounds really big and like it's only banks and Google that need to worry about it. But actually, it's even like sole traders need to think about it. And it's not, guys in hoodies in dark rooms, tapping at the keyboard. You just got to put those protection in place. You've got to make sure your backups are working. You've got to make sure that you log on to your emails safe.
That does mean I can use my story, because 2 weeks ago I received an email for the other podcast, because they told me I post something on my Facebook page, but it was the content of the email. It was very legit. Mm-hmm. It was an actual lawyer from Romania, and even they put the name of the record labels, which I use a song from them, but I never use a list Manele songs. But you know how I found it off?
How?
The email. It wasn't the lawyer's email. It wasn't the record label email. It was a Gmail email. Mm-hmm. And even the name of the account is sound off. And it was another thing which say download from here to see what we are talking about. And that was the big thing for me to ignore it.
There's typically telltale signs. The problem is sort of 5-10 years ago, they were quite obvious because because a lot of these hacks come up from places like Russia and China, where English isn't their first language, so they really a lot of people really struggle to put a legitimate email together. So when you read it, it just sounded wrong. But with AI, that problem no longer exists, because they can just say, write this in UK English to convince this person that I'm a lawyer, and AI will produce a phishing email perfectly in UK English. So it's got an awful lot better recently, but there's always those signs, because it's very difficult for me to send an email from your lawyer or from a record label. So the email address is often the big giveaway. And if you just hover your mouse over the link, it will tell you the actual underlying link, so where you're actually going, which is another really obvious way to know if something's not right. So
in my case, I called exactly the lawyer from the website.
It's the best way to do it. Absolutely. Just give them a call.
Yeah, they didn't hear about me.
Yeah.
I like computers.
Okay.
my first interaction was with i486.
Okay.
I think it have at least 100 megahertz.
Yeah, it's fast, right?
Yeah, very fast. I think even my microwave is now faster than.
Yeah.
It was interesting because I think I had 10 years old. I didn't have my computer until I had 16, 17, something like that. And I had Athlon XP. I think it was dual core. It's when the dual core computer was rising. Yeah. And I always loved computers, and I was that person who, if you had a problem computer, would give me a call and help you to fix the computer.
Okay.
Even in 2003, I helped a company, basically a company made by a young guy, exactly the same age like me, who give internet to a neighborhood in my city.
Yeah.
And I was making money from that. But the thing is, we didn't have a method of pay, only to knock on the door and that person will have the list and ask for money.
Right.
Like a long shark.
Yeah.
And the people was saying, I'm not going to pay the internet this month because my computer didn't work. So, but that's not the company's problem. But I can help you if you pay.
Yeah.
And I was basically making money, not only taking their money for internet. I was making money even fixing their computers. And that was my beginning. And to continue my story, you need patience to fix a computer if you don't know exactly what is the problem.
Yeah.
And it can take long hours in my case. But when you have a business, this is not an option.
It's not, absolutely.
You know, everyone must know. Everything what we have around us, it's based on IT, computer intelligence, now AI.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to ask you, if someone meets you, who they are meeting?
Okay, that's a good question. So if I was to introduce myself, I would say, hi, I'm Andy Price. I'm the owner of Initial IT. I'm an expert in IT and cybersecurity, and we help local businesses get more out of technology. Because I think the problem is that there are people like yourself that kind of enjoy technology, and there are also the other side that are just scared by it. And in both cases, I think we can help them because, in the situation like yourself, yes, you might enjoy doing it, but at some point you've got to run your own business. You've got to do what you're good at and what you earn money at. So we would help you to be more efficient and take some of those sort of problems away from you. And then there's the people that are just scared, of technology. And there's a lot of people that still are quite scared. And I think it's a different message for those guys. It's more, kind of putting your arm around them and sort of giving them the support they need so they can start running their business and building their team with comfort that technology is not just going to break one day. It's there to support their growth.
Yeah. Funny thing about cybersecurity, 2 weeks ago, I received an email saying I use copyright material on my Facebook page, and I need to take it down. And I was looking, I don't have anything. I had one post. It was made with AI,
right?
But it was about Dracula. Basically, it was me in the middle, and the Transylvanian Dracula and one from England.
Right. Okay. No copyright.
No, because it didn't look like anything. Basically, the email was very authentic. It looked like from a lawyer from Romania, which basically he is working with this kind of stuff with copyright. And what I see, it was off. It was an option they didn't attach to the email basically what they was implying I copyright. It was a link where I supposed to click to download
Yeah.
what I was doing by mistake, or what they say I copyright, and the email was off. My company where I worked, they gave us a lot of training on cybersecurity, which is great, and some people, even with that, they fail.
Yeah, and I think the culture with cybersecurity has got to change as well, because first off, it sounds like a really complex thing that people just, it's a scary term, but actually it's just about keeping an eye and spotting those strange emails that come in, or when you get something that's unexpected. I get it all the time on my Facebook ads account, so every day it's like, oh, you've breached some copyright, you've been using restricted content, or all sorts of rubbish, and they just come through constantly, and what you realize is actually they're sending that out to tens of thousands of people a day, because they know somebody will click it. So it's not targeted to you. It's just a case of, it's in that moment when you've maybe used some music on Facebook, and you think, oh my God, well, it must be that, so I must click it. And as soon as those sort of things line up, you click it and you get hit. But like I said, I think it's all, a lot of companies still have like a blame culture around clicking on a link, or how they, it seems like doing something wrong, and I think that's wrong. I think you should be empowering companies and training them around cybersecurity, and also empowering them to say, I think I've just clicked this link. Because if it's seen as a negative or something a staff member's done wrong, they're going to hide it. And it's those first minutes and hours that were really important to know what's happened. So the culture has got to change.
Yeah. I remember someone on email work click on email for Costa Coffee free card. But basically that was sent by the company.
Yeah. As a training thing.
Yeah. After that, she got the email back saying, you need to do this training because you failed on cybersecurity.
But it's a really valid point, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients now, we're rolling that sort of thing, that sort of solution out. It's called security awareness training. So by doing that, people they tell their staff members that that's what's happening, because then their staff are more aware, and they don't want to get caught out, right? They don't want to be made to feel stupid, so they're more aware. So therefore, they start checking emails more. When they do click the wrong link, they get some training to say, these are the things you got to look for. Check the email. Check for a strange link or something that doesn't sound quite right. But the big thing is they're bringing their awareness up. So when you do get that email come in that it is malicious, they spot it quickly and they know how to report that. So there's either a button in Outlook or there's an email address to forward it to, and they can report it quickly and stop something fairly serious happening.
I think the best way is to turn off the computer.
just switch the computer off, yeah. If only, hey?
Yeah. What makes initial IT different than other companies?
Again, another good question. I think that one thing the IT industry struggles with is translating what we actually do. And a lot of people in IT can only talk in a technical language. And I really believe that we've got to get rid of that. In initial IT, we don't talk technical. We talk about values. We talk about outcomes. It doesn't matter the technology that sits behind a business. What matters is the outcome that technology provides for that business. So, and I think we do a very good job of breaking that communication barrier with clients.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm doing an apprenticeship on analyst, digital analyst,
Okay.
with Multiverse, and it's exactly what they teach us to not say about the technical part, because on digital analyst, and there are a lot of things which it's overwhelming, and if you talk in the technicals, we are going to lose the person who are talking.
Yeah.
You've been in tech science since 90s. What keep you passionate about it after all these years?
I think there's a couple of things. Technology is so fast paced. So it's always something new to learn. There's always something, and that's a good and a bad thing, right? Because, there's always some new, criminal doing something wrong that you've got to stay ahead of. But also technology advances at the same pace. So, I'm helping a lot of clients at the minute with AI and, doing some work in ChatGPT and all those things. And it's another area that we can provide value. So no day is the same. I think that's what kind of keeps me passionate. And those tools are used to drive business. And I think that the change in the way people do business is also something that I really enjoy, and I really sort of like the satisfaction of, helping companies that are a bit stuck and don't quite know what to do and how to, they're just scared they're going to get attacked, or they're scared they're going to lose their data, and putting that roadmap in place so they've got, so they can sleep easier at night effectively, and get the outcomes they need is kind of what gets me out of bed in the morning.
I was just thinking now, first time when I work on a computer, it was on 98. I can say I'm from 90s on the computer as well. But it was very standard. I mean, I love playing games. But a few years later, I was doing bad things on the internet, like wiping out hard disk or flooding internet cafes and shut down the network.
Yeah.
But you are not able to do that anymore in that way, because we have the security updates, and basically it was Windows 98 to 95 in that period.
Yeah, you could do anything you wanted.
Yeah, but not exactly in that way.
Yeah.
Because you have these updates and you are not able to do it anymore. I tried. It was fun as a kid, but
that's the thing, is there's different sorts of hackers out there, and some of people are just, mischievous and just trying to, have a play, and although it, when it's a business, it still causes them a problem. It's not like getting a ransomware attack, which is really serious and puts a lot of businesses out of business.
I didn't attack businesses. It was just revenge attack.
Yeah.
On the other kids.
Yeah. Well, that's almost like a computer game anyway. Sure.
Yes. You say you are making the tech simple, secure and stress-free for business owners. Can you give me more example of this?
I think it comes back to breaking down what we do. So, rather than blinding people with science and, telling them everything under the sun because they don't understand it, it comes back to, looking at somebody's business, looking at, what they need to stay safe, to help them grow, and providing a solution that fits them. And I think that's ultimately what Initial IT is doing for clients. We're not selling stuff for the sake of it to increase our bottom line. We're providing solutions that actually make a difference to our clients.
But why they are supposed to stay safe?
Why are they supposed to stay safe? Because if they're not, it can put them out of business. As simple as that.
Why?
Because if they have a a data loss. If they're let's say they lose some data, they get a ransomware attack and their data gets encrypted. That's very difficult to get out of without paying the ransom if you don't have a strategy in place to deal with it, right? So where a lot of business owners don't understand that, and in some places don't care. It's like, I just want to run my business.
Yeah.
So we can step in, we can highlight that risk to them so they can make an informed decision, not about technology, but about their business, and then we can support that decision. And I think that's how we break these things down to make it simple, secure for them.
It put your business in bad image.
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
reputational damage is a massive part of why businesses fail. And there are a few things when a company gets hit with a ransomware, and we use ransomware because it's lots of different things can happen, but ransomware is a very sort of cut and dry problem.
When they ask for bitcoins.
Yeah, so
because it's not traceable.
You walk in on Monday morning in the office, or every file's encrypted. You can't do anything, and you get a message on your screen saying, "We want £200,000 in Bitcoin to unlock." That's a very severe problem, and there's a few problems with that. You've got the business grinds to a halt, so you can't trade. So you're instantly losing money.
Yeah.
You've got staff sat there doing nothing because they can't work. So you're paying staff and they can't work. You then obviously can't serve your client. So they're starting to ring up. They're starting to get frustrated because they're trying to get their work done and they can't trade. So it has this big knock-on effect of, hitting your revenue, hitting the sort of the time it's taking people to do anything, and also your reputation. And I think the reputational damage can be one of the biggest things that can put you out of business in the long term. And you know what? I always say to everybody, there is no guarantee that these things won't happen. There's no way any IT company can guarantee you will not get a ransomware attack or will not have a data loss issue. But what we can do is put a good strategy in place. We build up the defenses, so we reduce the risk of that happening in the first place, and we put a strategy in place to say, if it ever does, this is how we recover. And it's like it's a double-edged sort of protection, because we don't know what's going to be launched tomorrow. With that AI the way it is, we're on the defensive all the time. And so I can't protect your business tomorrow because I don't know what's going to happen. What I can do is reduce the risk and build a strategy to get you back working. And that's the way we do it.
So like with the body, you have antibodies for the disease what your body knows. Mm-hmm. But if it's something new, you need to adapt.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like with antivirus on the computers, the same.
Yeah.
They need updates to know the new virus.
Yeah, indeed. And, antivirus 10 years ago is not antivirus today. It's a completely different product. So, if you're using 5, 6, 7-year-old products, you're not protected, right? It's because the whole way they work has changed. They're using AI to detect problems, where they used to just the way they worked was very different.
Yeah, true. You say you offer 50 minutes of call and an in-depth IT health check.
So one of the offers we provide new clients is actually a 2-hour session, and that's split up into sort of 3 areas. And the first section is what we call our IT health check. So it's a session we walk through with the business owner, all the what they've got in place, what they do at the moment, how many staff they've got, what systems they use, what security is in place, all those different things. We also run some different scans and collect some data and put together and start collecting a report for them. The next session is around a simulated ransomware attack. So we say,
Okay.
right, okay, so right,
That is something which I didn't experience.
yeah. So what we do on the call, it's like, right, a ransomware's now hit. You know, your staff can't work. You've got a message saying they need 200,000 in Bitcoin. We're not paying it. How do we recover this business right now with the services that you have in place? And the reason we do this is because it's to highlight the weaknesses that they currently have. They might not think about. So, and where we can help them to improve that strategy, to improve those weaknesses. So that's the second thing we do. And the third session's an hour-long session where we take all that information we've gathered and we build them out a 90-day roadmap to take them from chaos to clarity. So we're looking at all the different things they're doing now and changing them, and maybe implementing new services, putting new software in, new backup strategy, whatever it may be, to get them to a place in 90 days where they feel safe. The risk of their operation is reduced. They can use technology to grow, and they can sleep at night.
True. What is something what most of people get wrong with IT support?
On the IT support side, the issues are quite varied and quite wide ranging, because it all depends on sort of what they're trying to do and what their job is. I think across the board, the big things that people don't do are they don't back up their data properly, and they don't take security seriously enough. So they see security as a pain, as a hassle, rather than something that's protecting them. If you look at the number one way to prevent you from getting attacked is to implement what they call multi-factor authentication. So it's a second layer. So rather than just a username and a password, the third layer is a code sent to your phone in a text, or in an app, or sent an email. However they deliver it, that third step, or the second step of authentication, prevents 99% of account breaches.
Yes.
99%. Ooh. And that's a stat that comes from Microsoft. So it's a very simple thing to do, but people don't do it because it's a pain, it's a hassle.
Yeah.
And people just don't see the value in backing up their data. I speak to so many people, and they tell me, "Oh yeah, well I copy my data to this USB stick once a week," or I says, "When was the last time I did it?" "Well, I haven't done it for a couple of weeks because I've been busy," and it's just not a backup. It's not a backup.
Funny thing is, when I was in Romania, now I'm using original products pay license, but in Romania I didn't.
Yeah,
because we a poor country, and the software was quite pricey for us.
Yeah.
But because I use torrents and illegal, basically crack apps and games, the Windows was faulty the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And it was that app which helped you to froze partition C. And every time when you use the partition, when you restart, it just come from that like a restore point.
Yeah.
But it got setbacks, because basically everything what you do is not saved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think a lot of people did that back in the day, and although, you are kind of breaching licensing laws and all the rest of it, but if you're just a kid on your own that, just wants to do the homework and play a few games, I can't say I agree with it, but you can understand why, right?
Yeah.
But when you run a business and you're relying on that stuff to generate a revenue for you, and pay your mortgage and feed your children and all the rest of it, you need to take it more seriously, and you need to make sure that the stability is there. And I think that's the thing that people brush over. it's worth paying for stability.
Yeah, that's why I think usually when I was doing that, I was installing the Windows on my computer 3 times per year. But now I didn't install the Windows since I built the computer. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah, because you probably paid you've got the
license and everything. I
Yeah.
use only even the apps I'm paying subscription, because now it's subscription. It's not buying the.
No, it has its pros and cons, isn't it? But
Yeah, you are paying more.
yeah.
But at least you are getting all the new features and all the new products what they are, because that's the advantage with the subscription. You're not supposed to buy the next product.
No, absolutely not.
Because you're renting it.
Yeah, yeah, and there typically is a lot more sort of cloud services involved as well. So things like OneDrive. I'm a Microsoft specialist, so we don't worry too much about the others. But with the Microsoft licenses, there's OneDrive and email and SharePoint and Teams and all those different services built into
SharePoint is quite good in the business when you are basically working in the same Excel table and all the data is there and everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah,
that's quite a good one. And even with Adobe, which I'm using for editing, you have the cloud service. You can save in the cloud. Because sometimes I'm editing on the laptop, sometimes on the PC, and I have the save file on the laptop when I need. I not need the stick to move it.
And I think that's the way they add value to these services.
Yes.
That's why they can charge a monthly service, because it's not really about using the local downloaded product, Word and Excel. It's utilizing that infrastructure that Microsoft built, or Adobe built, and that's the real value you're paying for.
I saw you share your story on your website.
Yes.
Was there a big turn point that changed your path, like an aha moment?
Was there an aha moment? For me, I think there's been a few. I think there's been a few times in my life where I've thought to myself, this is my time. This is what I've got to do. If I sort of talk about my history a little bit, I suppose, I was I hear this story a lot when I speak to other people now. I went through school thinking I wasn't very clever. I did. I think the education system is very biased towards academic learning and people that can learn from reading a book. That is not me. I can't. I still can't. So when I left school, I'd got a few GCSEs. I scraped through, but I genuinely thought I was going into the world of work as not a very clever person. And it was only when I went to college that I entered that sat in that college that first day thinking, hopefully I'll scrape through. 2 weeks later, being top of the class and smashing every assignment, everything they gave me, just, with distinction after distinction. And that was a significant turning point, because it was that self-belief. Actually, I'm not stupid. I thought, maybe I'll get a job in a shop one day, or maybe I'll, just about get a basic job somewhere. And this shift happened fast, because all of a sudden I went to a college where it was more practical learning, because my kind of dad kind of guided me that way. I think he knew more about the way I learned than I did at the time. And I literally changed in 2 weeks, and stayed there for 2 years and remained really passionate, really sort of switched on and interested. And I always thought learning and education was dull and boring and hard work. And again, that completely changed my perspective. So that was probably the first sort of aha moment that I had. And I kept that momentum going through college, and then I had to retake my maths GCSE because I didn't do very well in maths at school. So, but I pushed on and got that and worked hard to do that. I went to university to do a HNC in computer studies, and it was that. I think it was that moment, that first 2 weeks, that drove me to do it, because I was like, I know I'm clever now. I can just dig deep, and prove to myself. And that kept me going for the first, probably 10 years of my career. And the next time where, I had to dig deep was I got kidney failure. So when I was about 27 years old. So, my wife, my now wife, Corinne, was pregnant with my daughter Mia. I was basically more tired than she was when she was pregnant, and she was sort of going, "What's wrong with you? I'm supposed to be the pregnant one here, and you're asleep all the time." So I went to the doctors, and they eventually diagnosed me with kidney failure. By the time Mia was 6 months old, I was on dialysis.
That's not nice.
It's not nice.
It's just because I have on a block where I lived, under the block, it was a special unit of dialyzing. Basically, there was people who need to have that transfusion, and I know I talked with the patient. I was a kid, but
Yeah.
I was even fascinated about those machines who are doing the dialysis. Oh, come on, I'm not able to say the word.
Dialysis. Yeah, it's
dialysis.
a tough one, isn't it? Yeah. And that was a real tough point in my life. There's fluid restrictions, and there was, things you could eat, medication, the pressure on my wife and my young children was pretty intense. But again, I kind of just learned to dig deep. I didn't stop working. I was working full time. I was self-employed. I went back very briefly to a full-time job because because my wife then decided that she was going to give me one of her kidneys. So she did that the 6th of January 2010. She gave me that. So I was 30 years old. So I got a full-time role kind of to cover me over that period, so I get some help while I was off and all the rest of it. And again, that, watching her do that, I just thought, I need to repay that, but I now owe it to my family to give them the best life they can possibly get.
Yeah, but she really gave you her kidney.
Yeah, sat here right now.
Basically, now she's part of you.
She is. Yeah, she reminds me every day. But I mean, it's just like, there aren't many people that would do that, and she did it because she just said, I want you to watch your children grow up.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
And so it's 15 years ago since she gave it. It's still going strong. And yeah, I cherish her every day for it, but just an amazing person. Amazing.
Yeah. It sounds incredible. I didn't know about this, but it's just to give up to a part of you.
So it was so selfless. It was just so,
That's love.
She put herself in harm's way to just give me this gift, and it really was a gift. It's when you're dealing with dialysis, it's a hard life, right? So I know everyone has tough bits, but for us, it was tough. I was at the hospital 3-4 times a week. The hospital was an hour away. I was there for 4 hours. So half my life, almost, when I wasn't at work, I was at hospital. Which means we couldn't do anything. You go on holiday, you got to try and find dialysis on holiday. And it was a real bind. It was halting our lives. And like I said, she did that, and it completely changed my life again. And I was just, from that moment on, was determined to give her and my children the best life they could.
Yeah, I think
could
it's a normal thing to do because it's exactly what I want. The best life for them, even for me.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's me as well. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, even to spend more time with them.
Yeah,
because that's
it's not all about money, is it?
Yeah.
It's about time, and absolutely.
Yeah, like in my case, I'm going to events, and where I can bring, if I'm able to bring my daughter, I'm bringing because she's going to be very good at marketing.
Okay, how old is she?
6.
She's 6.
Yeah.
She's already got it, right?
Oh, she's taking business cards and give business cards. I mean, she's doing the work.
That's my youngest daughter, Lucy.
Yeah.
She's going to be the entrepreneur of the family. I can tell now. She always asks me those questions like we sell something on Facebook or we sell something on eBay, and she's like, "Well, how much are we getting for that, Dad?" She wants to know. Like she understands the sort of the money behind the business, and she's 13, and she's been like it for 5 years.
And we are not there yet. Yeah, yesterday she set up a store. I have a high chair, and she put all the chocolate eggs and chocolate rabbits, everything, and basically I supposed to pick a basket. Even I have a choice on the baskets. I have 4 different kind of baskets: a trolley, a big basket, a hand basket, and the other 2 smaller. And I'm supposed to go and buy. Even she gave me a receipt.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Love that.
But it was a receipt from the previous day when we bought. But she was yelling, "Eggs for sale, for sale."
Love that.
Yeah. But when it was the moment when you start the initial IT?
So it started. So I set it up. I can't remember the day now. 2006. I think it was the 6th of January 2006.
2006. It's when I finished high school.
So I was working full time with an IT company in Birmingham, and I just started getting, people asking for help. Can you just build me a PC, or can you just, I don't quite understand this. Can you set it up for me? And first off, you're like, I'll just help you, and then it's like, well, this is taking quite a long time. Maybe I should charge something for this. And then you get to the point where actually this is taking all my time. I should set up a business, and I didn't know anything about business. I was had a sole trader type account for a little bit, and I was that person that just thought, well, I'll have a business, and then people will just know me and find me magically, and then I'll have a successful business. And very quickly realized that's not how the world works. But I was 24 years old, and I was young, and but so that's how I set up. I didn't understand marketing, I didn't understand sales, but my dad helped me an awful lot. He taught me about building relationships with people. He taught me operationally how to run a business, balancing the books, and buy it for £1, sell it for £2, all those sorts of things. So he was a massive influence. He still is a massive influence. But in the early days, he'd run businesses for all his life, and he was very critical to my success.
It's a good thing. It's basically what I will try my daughter to teach her from now on. I mean, to give her information which I learned now, and no one gave those information to me when I needed when I was young.
Yeah, sometimes you kick yourself. If I only had knew this 10 years ago,
The thing is, how you said about the educational system. My family was quite poor, just because it was after the communist era, and the economy of the Romania was struggling, and I loved arcades. because it just appeared in that period because we didn't have in the communist time.
Like Pac-Man and all those sorts of things.
Oh, even Battle Street Fighter and
but Street Fighter, proper ones.
And my mother gave me 2 coins to play twice, but I wanted more.
Yeah.
And I start selling books, not drugs, books. I was making money with that, and I was going after that. After school, I was going for arcades. I mean, it was basically, as a kid, it was safe to go by yourself at school and come from school. Not like these days. I mean, even it's still safe in Romania. But I don't know how I was discovered by teachers. And they called my parents, and I was punished because I was an entrepreneur.
Really?
Basically, I was an entrepreneur. But even I'm glad the people who bought books from me, they... I mean, kids. It was still kids. They be on my part and said, but I wanted that book. Even I need to meet that person because it's here on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Even she was punished as well. I mean, even the people who bought...
Doesn't make sense, does it?
But I made money, and it was on books.
Yeah.
Not...
You're not selling...
something illegal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think my entrepreneurship sense died that day.
It died, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you were... Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Because I was punished for... Now, if you think about it, I'm supposed to be awarded.
Yeah, absolutely. But they were thinking you should just study, you should get a job, you should... You shouldn't think outside the box.
Exactly. Right? And it was a problem with the jobs. That's why we've been kind of poor, because my father had a good job, but it was on giving the heat to the city, basically. And he was working on the train, and he's supposed to unload the charcoal for making energy. And I don't know, the company was struggling financially, and sometimes they paid them, sometimes they didn't.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it wasn't a very safe financially. And that's why I come with the ideas. Even in high school, I work.
Yeah. It's
Even
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I did something similar. I mean, I haven't really put the dots together before, but I always grafted. I was 11 years old, and I used to help the milkman go and deliver milk. And I used to be out of bed at 6 o'clock. I was doing an hour before school. I do an hour after school. I'd work all day Saturday. And I got a paper round and did that. I then set up a car washing business when I was probably 13, and I used to have a few regular customers that I used to go and look after on Sunday. I even used to get my mom to make sandwiches to take to college and sell them to the kids at college and go and buy McDonald's. So I was always, a sort of an entrepreneur. Sort of, it's always been lurking in the back of my head. Making money, and providing value and all those things. It's just something that's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lucy's got it. My youngest has got that.
My wife, she told me a few days ago, because she wasn't agree with me doing podcast, because it's taking my time. Basically, instead to spend time with her, but she said, she told me, but I should know, because I knew when I met you, you like to do this kind of things. Because when she met me, I was working at the newspaper in Romania.
Okay.
But I was a graphic designer. And she said, you like attention. It's not really about the attention, or it's more about creating
Yeah.
because basically I'm a creator.
Yeah.
That's why I'm graphic designer, not, and I like to create content.
Yeah.
And now she realized it was science when I meet you.
Well, at least you realise it.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't realize. And basically, it's exactly what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be on radio. But it was the guy who's supposed to bring me on the radio. I was in school.
Right.
And it's supposed to be a show about history.
Okay.
And after that guy told me, I wasn't able to get in contact with him. I was even knocking on the door, no one answering, and I didn't know what happened. And my mother was a colleague with his wife, and I found out he died.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And that was my chance to do radio.
That's what a shame.
Yeah. Year passed and I was on a newspaper. It was there. And I did marketing in high school.
Okay.
But I don't remember anything. Even it doesn't apply to these days.
Yeah, I think
Does it
marketing is such a
change?
broad field, though. You know,
yeah.
it's so wide, and digital marketing as well is just as wide again. So
Even changing every day.
yeah, absolutely. But I just talking about radio for a sec. I worked for a radio station for about 2 years.
Oh, nice.
So I did the IT for them. I looked after their systems and made sure they were, but it's the only place I've ever worked where they didn't really care about IT. As long as their stations were on air, that's all they cared about. The IT was second nature. So usually when I work at companies, it's like, if something's not working, like it's mad panic and we've got to get this back up and working. At the radio station, it was like as long as the ads played, as long as the DJs were on air, it was fine. But it was a really interesting company and sort of environment to be involved with.
Yeah.
Met a few decent people. Met my met the Stereophonics once, and people like that. So which are my all-time favourite band. So they rocked up in the station one day. So
Nice.
So it was really cool place to work.
I hope one day I will be on radio as well.
I'm sure you will be.
Yeah. It's if you think you want to be there, you will.
Manifest it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And take action towards it.
Always thinking, in the future I will do like a speaking type of events. But it was just a thought, and I was telling my wife, and I meet some people, even it was a guest on my Romanian podcast, and she said, I'm doing this networking event. You want to be a speaker in it? Okay. Just perfect.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
You got to take those opportunities.
Yes. I want to take them. Because I know before I was thinking I'm not good enough. And
But
I'm not...
true.
but it's what I used to.
Yeah.
And I
It's that
didn't...
negative thought process.
And I
in your
didn't
mind.
take the chance.
Yeah.
And after that, why I didn't do it? And basically to fail, then to be sorry.
Yeah.
I can be sorry because I failed, but next time I can know how to not do it. Why do you care so much about making IT support simple and human focused? Because
that's where the true value is. People, I speak to people every day and they don't care about technology. They don't, it's not, if you run an events business or a courier or a solicitor's firm or an accountancy, you don't care about tech. You care about, building your own business. You care about, making more money, serving your clients. Technology will have an impact somewhere, or it is a tool to use to grow that business, but they don't care about the actual technology. And I think, I care and I want to basically take that pain away from people. So let me do what I am good at. You focus on what you're good at, and then we'll get a better outcome together.
Yeah, the thing is, if you don't take like an expert like you on, you're going to have so much trouble and frustration. And even when we had our specialist in the newspaper, but it wasn't there all day. Mm-hmm. And we got all kind of issues, and because I knew better than everyone from that newspaper, they're supposed to fix them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's two problems, right? So, people that do their own IT, I come across them all the time and I have lots of conversations. The first problem is things just about work, right? So they're a bit clunky. Things don't really talk to each other because they haven't been set up in the right way. They're using like home versions of products when they should be using business versions. They don't see the value in upgrading or how they can upgrade. So it's all kind of mushed together and it just works. Whereas in that scenario, if you get a decent IT provider in that understands your business, that understands the technology, that can map the two together, you get a lot less friction. Everything works seamlessly, and you're able to do more in less time. And time is the resource we should be caring about.
Yes.
The other problem with DIY IT is it's the problems you don't know that you don't know. Right? So the problems that are there, but you're not aware that they're there, like not having a proper backup strategy, like not enforcing the right security controls on your finance system, because you only find out that it's a problem when it's too late. And again, I see this. I worked with a customer sort of a couple of years ago, and they were a very successful business. They were making great money. I won't go into detail who they are because they had a ransomware attack. But they hadn't invested in technology. They hadn't invested in security, and it ripped their business to pieces. And they just didn't know what they didn't know,
Yeah.
And if they'd have had a little bit of help, if they'd have rang us the week before they got attacked, we could have gone in, or maybe the month before, but we could have gone in, put some systems and protection, and at least explain the risk to them, and stopped 6 months of pain for them. And I think that's the problem. That's the big problem. See, frustration and just not knowing the problem till it's too late.
How did you become an expert in Microsoft 365?
So I've always preferred Microsoft services and Microsoft tools. When I got into IT at 19, that's where I landed. Sometimes you just have to take an opportunity, and that's what the job was. And I've always just built on those skills. So, I've now got 25 plus years experience in helping people, helping companies do more with Microsoft. And, up until 10 years ago, it was Microsoft servers and Microsoft desktops and products. Now it's Microsoft 365, and actually, when I look at it in the background, it's the same products, the same tools. SharePoint is the same, and email exchange is the same. It's now but wrapped into a service. So it's just that depth of knowledge over 25 years that I've picked up, and I've worked in some very large organisations, some big government departments, some big well-known brands, right down to small companies, and but the tools are all very similar now, and the things you can do with a one-man band, you can actually do. It's the same as what you can do with a multinational.
Yes. Uh, just recently, I come up with learning Power BI,
Okay, yeah.
which I didn't know about the existence.
Yeah, it's a good skill to know.
Yeah. I want to ask you, what do you enjoy most about running your business?
I think it's the freedom. I think, knowing that I can do what I want to do. I've got my own values. I've got my own ways that I work, and I don't want to be kind of put in a box and told how I should act and told how I should help people. And running my own business gives me the freedom to do things how I want to do them and how I believe best serve my clients.
Because you said about IT problems steal times, money, and sleep.
Oh yeah.
And what is your mission when you step into help?
I think it comes down to just making it easier. Removing those frustration, those barriers, and however we can do that, we just make your life easier. So, and there are different levels of that. We start with the foundations, where people haven't got the right computer or the right software or the right, they've got the right one, but it's all set up wrong. So we strip that back and we make it all seamless and work. And we can go up through the layers, where we're sort of all integrating your CRM system with your sales system, So there's different sort of maturity levels a business goes through around their IT and around what seamlessness and automation looks like. And it really does start from right at the bottom. Let's take away the frustration and let that single person work better on their own, and then we build it up to like the business work better together. So
yeah, that's a good one. I check your website and it say you're offering free assessments each month. What kind of business should apply for?
I think any business that has frustration, any business that thinks either they're worried because they might be missing something, or they're worried that something might go wrong and they don't know how to, they're not confident that they can recover. A business that there's just little problems all the time and nothing seems to ever get fixed. Whether they've got a managed an IT provider in there or not, and or somebody that just wants to do more. So I think it's those three. If you're lying awake, worried about that, you just what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? Then you need to get in touch.
That's an anxiety.
Yeah. Because you should be confident, and you should rely on the people that are looking after your company and your technology. And we only offer it to 5 because it's quite an in-depth piece of work we do with them. This isn't like a kind of a little half-hour session. We do 2 hours with each business at least. And that's sort of those 2 hours of meetings. There's then other work we take on where we're doing scans and audits and things, and we put it all together in a report for you. So it's quite a significant piece of work that we do, but we do it because we want to help businesses see that way forward. And they can take that report and give it to their current provider if they really want to, or they can have a further conversation with us about how we can help them. So it really is like it's not supposed to be a sales tool. It's supposed to be a way companies can, understand the problems.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you have a second opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah, no, it's not. Well, what is your big vision about Initial IT in the next 2-3 years?
So I think obviously growth. I want to help more people. I've got no interest in having this massive company where we're just seen as a service desk, a phone number to ring, and you speak to a different person every time. I really want to keep initial IT personal, so our staff really know and understand our customers, because there's no point replicating what's already out there. There's many IT companies that operate a big help desk, and every time you ring in, you wait for 20 minutes, you get taken you take a ticket, you get a number, and you speak to a different person every time, and that doesn't float my boat, and I don't think it would float the boat of my clients. So it's about growing and giving more value, but keeping that personalized service.
Yeah, that's good. I felt like when I called to customer service to keep waiting, and even after that to book me in a week. That's
the thing, isn't it? You ring your insurance or your bank or whoever you call these days, they always tell you they're experiencing higher than normal call volumes.
Oh yeah.
And then you spend 20 minutes on hold, and they can't usually help you when you get through. So I've got no interest in replicating that. It's like that doesn't serve my clients at all.
I have a bad experience with no company in UK. I'm not giving the name. I had a problem, and they sent me. It was for internet, and they sent me another router, and basically it was
same problem.
It was a new contract and something like that.
Oh right, okay.
And I don't know what happened. They told me to send the router back, and I already sent it. And I called why I should send this router, because I already sent the other one. Anyway, I changed the router because they already sent me a new one, a second time.
Yeah.
And I was waiting. I think after 5 months.
Wow.
They sent me another one. I said, why? I gave them a call, and basically they didn't charge for my service. I didn't have contract.
Yeah,
because I always talk with somebody else, and they didn't understand how that happened. So, don't tell me. Every time I said why,
mm-hmm.
And you say this is normal. We need to do this, and I change one more time the router. Because it's the way how they change contracts, change the routers, which is kind of stupid. It's just a number. I can keep the router.
Yeah.
Why I should go to the mail and send you a router, and even why you are spending money on the new routers? Because I exchange 4.
Well, and I think that's the fundamental problem, is it? Because the person that you're speaking to on the end of the phone isn't invested into fixing your problem. They're invested in ending the call. That's all they want to do.
But the thing is, they look like they've been investing, but they didn't know what happened before.
Yeah.
And
so let's get this guy off the call. So when he rings back, it won't be me that picks it up, and I won't have to deal with him. And that's the problem, man. I mean, that's just rubbish service.
I think they have KPIs, and they're supposed to solve a lot of calls.
Yes.
And it's basically not the quality, it's just the quantity, and that's not nice. It's exactly how you say.
Yeah,
you want quality, not quantity.
The second your quality drops, something's wrong, right? So you've got to address something.
I didn't pay 5 months for the internet.
yeah. So they could have earned a lot more money out of you if they'd have got it right in month 1, right?
Now I want to know more about the business, how to be a businessman. I want to ask, what is the something what you learn in the hard way as a business owner?
Okay, so I think what I've learned, and definitely learned it the hard way, is most people go into business. Like me, I went into business because I was good at IT, and I still am, right?
Yeah, you have the good product.
I have the skill, I have the product. What I didn't have was how to sell and how to market. And I think I see this time and time again when I speak to business owners. They're very, very good at what they do. They just can't sell or market.
Yeah.
And I think in whatever business you're in, unless you're in a sales and marketing company, that's a problem, right? So, anyone that is going into business, learn those skills. Learn, obsess over marketing and over sales, because that's success or failure. Any company needs to get your message out to people so they know who you are, and they need to convert conversations into revenue.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you won't have a business. And I think the other thing is don't trick yourself into expecting that you should just know it all. Go and find someone that can help. Go and find a business coach, or somebody that can show you the way, because you can't know it all. And you know what? Trial and error takes too long when you're trying to build a business. So you can't just hope you'll figure out the problem. You won't.
It's better to learn from someone who already did it.
Absolutely.
Who already have the trial and error.
Yeah, they've tried it. They've learned. They've had coaching. They've trodden the same path. But it took me a lot of years to make that realization of maybe I should just go and ask someone that's already done this how to do it.
The thing is, when I started the podcast, that one in Romanian, I had people giving me advice. But I already tried what they are saying, and even they didn't have any experience with that. And I had this toxic kind of people saying, which they are like, I know better. I know better than you, even if they're wrong. They're wrong. But at least I didn't meet anyone lately, because I like to listen. I'm not declining what the other people, even if it's wrong, because you can find something there which can help
resonates.
you.
Yeah.
Because you can take only the good part from that conversation.
Yeah, you can. I agree with that. I mean,
but that's why I want to say, I'm not saying you are wrong. I know better than you, because I already did it. I'm just listening now.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I'm not saying not. I used to do that, but I found out I learn more if I stay and listen.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
One of my business coaches, Adam Stott, says only take advice from people in business that you swap their bank account with. And I think that's it reframes advice, because if people have been there and done it and been successful, then maybe what they've got to say works. If you get advice from people that haven't done it, haven't been there, they're just giving you their opinion, it's probably not the best advice you're going to get.
Yes.
So he told me that from the first time I met him, and it always sticks in my head, because now the amount of advice that I listen to but then discard, because I'm like, you haven't been here, you don't know. So, and it makes the advice that you do take even more impactful.
That's a good advice, because at the beginning of the podcast, I asked someone if they want to have an advert in my podcast and to pay like monthly, to give him and he used to brag how good it is and how know to do business. And when I asked him, look, my company is not very good financially now, but you just brag about how well you're doing.
This is it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. People's sort of persona is different, isn't it? They're, what they like to brag about in the pub or at a restaurant, or or is very often not
Because
the case.
basically what he was telling me, I'm setting up your business, I give you everything, and you just do the business. And after that, I said, but if you are able to do that, how the business can last if you are not able to give me, even I didn't ask much, it was £100.
Yeah.
And if you are not able to pay £100,
Yeah. What business have you got?
yeah. Because you say you are doing that for long and you have a lot of clients. It was just talks.
Yeah. So a lot of it is though, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of it's just ego, and so I always remember that piece of advice.
Yeah.
Would I swap a bank account with him or her? Yes, I would. Let's listen to your advice.
Yeah. Good one. I need to make a tattoo to remember that.
But the same is true with anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I sort of thought about this and took it on a different slant. It's like, who'd you take relationship advice off? Do you take it from the divorcee, or do you take it from the person who's been happily married for 30 years?
Yeah, good one.
Do you take advice about your children from someone that doesn't speak to their kids anymore, or someone their kids are, they've got a wonderful relationship, the kids are flourishing, and it works in every sort of capacity.
I got a lot of advice from people who don't have kids.
Yeah, it's very easy
about
isn't it?
my and say no, you don't know what you talk about.
No clue.
And even now, I know a person who gave that advice, and now he got kids, and she's mad now.
Now if they realise what it's like, yeah.
Do you see how it is?
Yeah. Listen to your own advice.
No, I just told her this time is going away. Just be there for your kids. Handle yourself.
Yeah.
This is a good question.
Okay.
If someone listening and is running a business and struggling with the tech or cybersecurity, what would you tell them first?
First thing I'll tell them is to give me a call. So I think you've got to understand when you say struggling with tech or cybersecurity, what is it that you're struggling with? Some things are very quick and easy to fix, and just getting some quick advice is usually the best way. But if it's a more complex, bigger problem, then you probably need to be talking to somebody that knows what they're doing and is there and they've got your back on a regular basis. It's a bit like finding an accountant or finding a good lawyer or anything. When you're starting out, a 20-minute conversation is probably all you need. But as your business grows, you need them by your side. You need, because you need that financial advice or legal advice. You need it more often. So I think, building that support network of people you can rely on and trust is really key when you run a business. Like I said, I'm an expert in IT. I'm not an expert in all the different elements of things I need to do. I'm certainly not a legal expert or a financial expert.
Yeah.
So I have people around me, not all the time, but people around me that I can contact, I can get in touch with, and just run an idea past. And if it's by building a good sort of circle of connections, you can ring someone for 10 minutes and have a quick chat, pick their brains, and there's no cost involved usually because they've just got your back. People ring me all the time for what we're going on doing this, Andy, or this is. We have a 10-minute conversation, a 20-minute conversation. I'm not going to charge them for it. It's just because they'll do the same for me. There's different ways.
Yeah.
Whereas you get to that point where I'm like, I need someone here, and I need someone that can look after this for me, or can that's going to be involved every week or every month. Then it's a different thing, and you need to have someone managing or being involved in that business.
I received an email about an expo, Innovation Expo,
Yeah.
NEC in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I've never been to one, and
So I think there's a lot of IT exhibitions, and I think a lot of them are very technical. So they're more for IT people to go and learn new stuff and find out new services and products. But it's like any expedition, isn't it? Any sort of event, you've just got to pick the right one for you. You know, you've got to look at the value you're going to get out of it. I was speaking to a chap a few months back, and we were talking about events because there are so many in IT. You could literally be in an event every week, and he was like, "Well, I don't understand. You know, it was supposed to go to all these events, and how do you do it? How do you manage the time?" And I said, "You just got to look at the value. It's quite simple when you break this stuff down. You know, I'm going to spend a day, so you know, think about your hourly rate, or how much money you earn on a daily basis." And then think about the cost of the ticket and the cost of the travel and the cost of being out of the business for a day. Put all that together. Am I going to, and let's say that's £1,000. Am I going to get £1,000 of value out of this? Can I turn this event into £1,000 of revenue? No, then I'm not going to go.
yeah, good one.
Yeah,
I must apply that.
yeah. And but it's simple when you break it down like that, you know.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know, I know people that are doing 10, 15, 20 events a year and getting nothing out of it. It's just a waste of time. That's a month.
True.
That's a month at events. Not to get anything out of it. I'm like, nah, I've got better things to do.
If my wife listen to you, she's going to say, where is the money? Because I've been to a lot of events. I'm not saying I got some values, knowledge.
And it's not all revenue, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not all, but
It's knowledge,
But
people.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even to be speaker in one event is because I participate to another event.
Yeah, but it's still value. You know,
Yeah.
it's still still getting something back. You're getting education, which is vitally important.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're not getting anything, you've got to really think about the event you go to.
Yeah, I always felt after event it was quite nice, and I come back positive from that event.
Yeah, having that different mindset. Yeah, so that's value.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also, you know, I think the other thing a lot of people forget is that running a business can be really lonely. You know, especially when you're the sole person in the business, when you start out and there's no team, or there's a very small team. So just getting out and meeting people and sharing ideas and having a chat at the bar and or over a coffee, that's all valuable stuff. But you still don't want to go to one a week, you know.
Yeah, true. What advice you can give to people if they want to change something in their career or take a risk in their business?
Yeah, I think that to change something in their career, it just go and learn. Just obsess about knowledge. I think that's the only thing that sets you and me apart. It's the only thing that one person's got over another person is the knowledge they own, and what they've learned, and then go and get experience. Do work for free if you have to build experience, because once you experience it, then you can start charging for it, and then you can start making a difference. So I think people are always worried at at working for nothing, but as long as it brings back something. I've helped a few people recently, and it's like 10, 20-minute pieces of work. But I'll be like, well, can you give me a testimonial, or can you give me a review, or can you help in some way, so other people can see that what I'm doing is great. Maybe that's enough, right? If you do 3 weeks work for him, you're not going to settle for a Google review, right? But if you so it's all about balance. But
but the people who receive the review, they're going to value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is a hard part, because not everyone is giving you a review.
No.
Yeah, they are going to give you a bad one.
Yeah.
If they have a bad experience with you, but if you ask them a feedback, they can't be asked.
The problem is that everyone asks for feedback, don't they? Right? Like wherever you go, you walk into a shop now and they ask you for feedback. You go to a restaurant, it gets feedback. So it is a bit saturated, but I think, if you frame it properly and then I think it's okay. And I think you got to make things really easy for people as well. Make it really, really easy for people to leave a review. If they got to jump through 10 hoops, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, true. Now we are at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Do you think I miss any questions to ask you?
I don't think so. I feel like my whole life story now. So
All right. What do you think about the food?
the food is lovely, really good. Something I haven't experienced before. So really nice.
Yeah, a bit of Romanian flavors. I think there are few Romanians who are living in Birmingham, and they have. Yeah, I will find out. And when I will be in Birmingham, because I will have some recording there, I will call you for a tripe soup.
Okay. Yeah. I'll look forward to that call.
Yeah. I know there are few people who have businesses around the Birmingham. Even I have I know a girl, a Armenian girl, who is good on her MMA fighting,
Okay.
and she's doing OnlyFans.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's a story what I wanted
Yeah.
to talk, but it's just because there are two industries and totally unrelated.
Yeah. I mean, that's worlds apart,
Yeah.
isn't it? But I imagine it's quite an interesting story.
And she was called on UFC now, and that's big win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the thing is not only about OnlyFans. She can kick ass.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for inviting
I hope you enjoyed.
Yes, it was great. Really good. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure. And, I hope the podcast goes amazing.
I'm not concerned. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome.
Yeah. What you can do when it's raining outside.
Yeah, is it raining? Again, brilliant.
Yeah. It was nice weather yesterday. And
It was lovely yesterday.
Yeah. Now, I need to bring the food. So, because it was
Wow.
Easter,
Yeah.
we have in our tradition, when it's a holiday, we are doing beef salad.
Okay.
But the recipe is this one, the original. The other one, it's my wife inventions
Okay.
made in different way with tuna.
Okay.
Because we don't do with tuna. It's basically chicken, usually salad. But I found it even better.
Okay.
How my wife
So is
did.
this one chicken?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is tuna.
Okay.
This is a fork.
Thank you.
What is your favorite food?
I love spice, so
All right.
so I'm like anything with a bit of a kick to it. So like spicy chicken or a curry or anything like that. I'm a big spice person.
Too bad I don't have another traditional food. It's a soup, tripe soup.
Yeah, I saw that on your social.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a bit spicy.
Yeah.
Usually we don't put when it's cooked the spice in it. You add it after.
Okay.
But that was so great. My wife, she cannot have spice, and I have 2 portions, and I ate both of them.
That's nice.
Yes, it's a healthy salad. The first one is with mayo, homemade mayo, and the other one, my wife, she found a recipe on internet how to do mayo without eggs,
Okay.
and it's with olive oil and butter, and I'm not sure exactly, but more healthy.
So what's this called?
Beef salad.
Okay.
It's basically the original recipe was made with leftovers,
Okay.
but the recipe become so famous. It's not made with leftovers.
Right, okay,
It's basically actual food. It's with carrots. Sometimes we put pickles. In this one we didn't. It make a bit sour. What kind of kid you been when you grew up?
What sort of kid was I? Fairly outdoors. So, I always just loved, getting out with my mates on my bike and, just being outside. I was a bit of a geek, I suppose. I was in scouts and cubs and all that. So,
Okay.
so hiking and camping and, all that sort of stuff. I really loved. Just being outside and, it wasn't particularly sporty. So the whole sort of football clubs, things like that didn't float my boat. So I just looked for other things that would interest me, and it was just being outside, and so that was my childhood.
Yeah. Our summer holidays in the school was like 3 months, 2-3 months, something like that. And I spent time in my grandparents' house
Okay.
in the village side, and now I can tell I was intoxicated with fruits. It's because we go and harvest them, and in the same time eat them, because it wasn't anything else on it's basically how they grew in the tree, and
Okay.
and it was that period when you're supposed to pick the plums to make brandy.
Right. Okay. So they were starting to ferment a bit.
Yeah, no. Basically, you're supposed to collect them first,
Right.
and we have like loads of them, and I've been a bit tired to collect every day plums. But in the same time, I've been eating them, and there are different kinds of plums.
Okay.
White ones, yellow ones, the fatty one, and there are some plums which they're quite different. We use to make jams with those, and they have the middle shape like a peach. But I used to eat those a lot, and we have tummy aches
Right. Okay.
for how many we eat. Same with the grapes, because in the fall it was harvesting the grapes, because my father was doing wine.
Good wine.
Oh yeah. Do you want to try some?
Oh, yeah, I'll try some. Only a little bit. I'm driving, but
Just to try.
But yeah, I'm a really big red wine fan. I love red wine.
I received last week some homemade wine from Romania,
Oh wow.
and that person, I hope it's the same kind of a wine, because last time when he gave to me it was wow.
So that's off your father's farm.
This one, no, it's from somebody else,
Okay.
but the taste, because we are using hybrids of grapes,
Okay.
which France don't like, because we are using hybrids in Romania.
I see.
But the taste is very good. I remember I opened a bottle of wine, bought one, which I bought from the store, and I let it there after I received that bottle, because it was better than the other one. Even it was more expensive.
Yeah, it's a problem with good wine. Just seems to evaporate out of the bottle, doesn't it, very quickly?
It's because they didn't add anything to it.
Yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
There's no additives or anything. This is very good.
I have a soup for you. We call Greek soup.
Okay.
That's another traditional Romanian soup. I wrote here, you've been a pilot?
I think you asked me what I wanted to do when I was a kid.
No, you wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah, when I was a young kid.
Yeah, this is basically the question. What do you want it to be when you grow up?
When I was little, it was always a pilot. You know, I think I probably watched Top Gun too many times,
Ooh.
and I just thought, I mean, it is the coolest job in the world, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I think I still will like that.
Yeah, I'd still like to do that. I think I'm probably a bit old now, but you know, you can dream.
I think I had an Xbox 360 and I sold all the games and the console and I kept only one. It was Top Gun.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I'm different to probably most kids of my age that grew up watching Top Gun. I think everyone wanted to be. Nobody wanted to be Goose. Everyone wanted to be Maverick.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Even when I saw they made another one 3 years back.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I prefer the original one. I don't know, maybe because
Yeah,
it's morning.
Yeah, I think it's just a movie for that era, isn't it? You know, it really is. I still watch it now.
I watch it with my wife, but because I want to watch with her the second one to give her the knowledge what is up. She's supposed to watch the first one as well, and I will rewatch it.
Yeah,
And I think I see it with different eyes.
yeah,
I think that's happening when you are rewatching a movie after years.
yeah,
Even now, I understand different metrics.
yeah. You watch it; it's like a happy memory almost, isn't it? When you watch an old movie, you know what happens. You know the story, but it still kind of gives you that warmth and that sort of.
Yeah, but at the moment, I understand now what is metrics about.
Yeah,
Because in that period, I was thinking just a simulation and basically what is about that simulation.
yeah,
And you have loads of things which you think what's happening in the simulation. Even I saw the latest one, it was even going deeper with the simulation part.
yeah,
But let's say when you see a movie as a kid and you see it again as an adult, you have a different meaning.
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Even Top Gun. Do you want to have the soup now or?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you.
Hope it's still warm. So this is more like a chicken soup, but we call smântână, Greek yogurt,
Okay.
and our country it's quite famous with soups.
Okay.
We have different flavors, different sour soups. How I said about the tripe soup.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
We been forced to eat soups as a kid because they say it's cleaning your guts.
Okay.
Basically, the tripe soup it's a bit similar,
Okay.
like this one.
We don't typically eat tripe in the UK that much anymore. So it's a bit of a strange concept.
Yeah. Because, I told someone tripe.
Yeah.
Did you come from Lichfield?
Yes.
The company where I worked, they had a warehouse there.
I live in a little village just outside Lichfield, but
Okay.
grew up in Lichfield.
That's near Birmingham, no?
Yeah, sort of just north of Birmingham.
Sometimes I'm doing the barbaric way how to eat soup. Because I'm not very patient to eat all the soup, and I'm doing this like Chinese. And it's done. It's basically how we did just to go to play. Eat fast the
get it
soup.
down
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. As usual, when it was like a Christian holiday, and we're supposed to eat 3-course meals. When it was like how it was now, Easter,
Okay.
we're supposed to eat three types of food,
Right.
and
You just wanted to get out and play.
yeah. Even we ate a lot of eggs because we have this celebration basically when we say Jesus was rising, and the other person is supposed to have indeed he rise, and you come with the egg and basically knock them,
Right, okay.
and if you crack the other egg, you're supposed to eat it, and you're a winner.
Okay.
That was an interesting concept. Do you want more?
I'm good, thank you. That was lovely. That was very kind.